great leaders build great companies. Well, that means mediocre leaders build mediocre companies, bad leaders build bad companies. And so how do we become great leaders? We have a rule: if you're not nice, you can't work here. Get rid of them all, we'll figure it out. I would have no credibility coming out of it. Our product is not dentistry. Our product is a patient who's satisfied beyond their expectations and returns and refers.
What would you expect a doctor that you've affiliated with, maybe 6 months post-affiliation, to say about their experience with Heartland?
First of all, what I would expect is
All right, welcome back to the Dental Economist Show. I'm your host, Mike Huffaker. Today we have a very special episode. This is actually the 100th episode of the Dental Economist Show. And in honor of that milestone, I have the honor to welcome Pat Bauer, President and CEO of Heartland Dental, to the show. Now, Pat really doesn't need any introduction, but he has been instrumental in Heartland's growth since joining the organization in 1997, helping scale from its early days to a global leader while maintaining a very, very well-respected focus on dentist autonomy, patient care, and ethical leadership. Pat, it's really great to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm great. It's a beautiful day in Florida, and I couldn't be happier.
Awesome. Well, I did read that you're a Minnesota Vikings fan.
Yes.
And that was a little bit rough for last night, but
oh man, I went to bed at halftime.
yeah, that's probably a good idea. Well, hey, I was doing a lot of research for our conversation, and one thing that popped out just immediately, I didn't realize that you came from such a large family. You were the 14th of 16 children.
Yes,
I grew up with 3 siblings, and I thought that was large. But I'd be curious, is there any kind of like standout experiences or moments from your childhood growing up that you feel like really shaped who you are today?
Yeah, being the 14th, and I'm literally 14 years younger than my oldest brother. So my mom
Okay.
had 16 children in 18 years. So when you think about that, everybody's so close in age. So you had to fight your way to get anything. Any attention, anything. Yeah. And so, but I also, there's every job has 3 things, which is technical skills. You got to learn how to be able to do it. But then it's commitment skills, the ability to focus, the ability to focus at work, which is work ethic, and then personality and leadership. When that work ethic comes from when you really have to get feedback at a young age outside of the home from people on how to work and are you working well. And so when you come from a family of 16 with not a lot of money, obviously, and I had to find my own money. If I was going to do anything, my parents couldn't afford to give me more than one pair of pants for school, so I had to get my own. And so at the age of 11, I'm trying to figure out how to get my own money, whether it be candy, whatever it is, because they're just not going to give me the money to do it. If I want to look like the current fashion, I'm going to have to do that on my own because I'm getting hand-me-downs all along. So it shapes you from you better work, which means you have to work hard. There's a lot of people that do that, but it also, my dad was in healthcare leadership. And so I watched him, I knew what I didn't want to be like, and I love my dad. But I learned a lot about what it means to lead people through him. And he was leading a large family. And of course he got easier, my older brothers would say, and sisters. He got easier as he got, down to me at the 14th. But just watching him, watching my brothers and sisters, watching how people led to get things done. And so at an early age, I'm trying to be in charge. I'm trying to be, the leader and figure things out because I have no choice. And so whether it be in school, and so I started working in a gas station, full service gas station back then, at the age of 15, which wasn't technically legal. And then, through high school, became the assistant manager. And then I'm, during college, I'm still working there full time. And so there's just things that I was able to get at a very young age that was fortunate to have good mentors. I read a book at the age of 18, The Magic of Thinking Big. So those things just to be able to do it, because I knew I had to do it on my own. There's nobody's going to help me. Nobody that's going to, my mom and dad going to go to college. Oh, good for you. They didn't talk about it. They didn't. Oh, what's college? What's your ACT? Hell, I don't even remember taking it. So it was a different time, but just fortunate to be able to have close brothers and sisters, and I'm actually closer to my wife's family now because there's 9 of them. So there's there's just people all over.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. So it really instilled in you kind of an entrepreneurial spirit from an early age. And it sounds like you watched what your dad was doing. What inspired you to pursue a path in healthcare? Was that always something that was kind of top of mind, or how did you find your way into dental and into
One of
Heartland?
my first jobs out of college was with a company called Redline Medimart, which was a nursing home business that really covered Medicare Part B and for supplies for people who couldn't eat, couldn't go to the bathroom. So we would supply that. So that was early on. I was in healthcare, and so I've been in healthcare ever since. And that was I've only had 3 jobs since I came out of college, and one was nursing home, and then the rest's been all dental. And so I just got lucky to say, well, I like healthcare, I like providers, because we dealt with it at Redline Medimart with the nursing homes, and then I dealt with it at early age with dental in Minneapolis. So I got lucky.
Now, when you joined Heartland, how large was the organization at that point? And did you have any sense that at that moment in time, it would become what it has become?
No, not this big. When I joined, I was already with a dental group called Metro Dental Care, which we now affiliated with in 21. But we were larger actually number of providers compared to Dr. Workman. But Dr. Workman was in the process of selling, hit some of his, and starting over. And I met him in 1995 and realized this guy's special because we met him at a large group practice, which was small back then, large group practice seminar. I was the president of the association, the co-president with one of our founder dentist, Marcus Gustafson. And so he's in the back of the room asking questions like, "Oh, that guy is." But so then we started believe it or not, an administrator school, how to run a group practice, and it was Don Clay Infonet that helped us kind of launch that. And Dr. Workman's team, Julie Thomas, Donna Ware, and Debbie Steppe, went to those meetings, and I was the original, the first president of that association of administrators. And so I stayed in contact with him. So then when he was spending too much time not on the business or not in the business, but on the business, they knew they needed somebody. And they said, well, we need somebody like Pat Bauer because I had a relationship with them. And so he called me, hey, I'm looking for somebody like you. And at the time, Metro had bought and merged with some of Delta Dental owned practices in, believe it or not, 1997. Some people, Wisconsin just bought, yeah. I'll never be like, oh, that can't happen. Hell, it happened back in 1997. So people are freaking out about things that I don't get. But it did change my culture. It changed the culture at Metro Dental Care. And I wasn't very happy that it was changing my culture because they were more about money than taking care of the doctors and the patients. And so it was a perfect timing. He called me in February. I was thinking about leaving in January, and then I joined in April. And so and he was selling it. He only had eight or nine when I started, and they were all de novos. And he got a lot of money, so he reinvested it. It was hard. But I had to learn his systems. I knew what I did in dental, thought I knew a lot, realized I didn't know a lot, and had to learn immediately how he and his systems work and add my knowledge and help. And so together we've been really great for each other, but he's the visionary hero. I mean, he's still the visionary hero. He's still he's just fantastic to work with. I'm super fortunate. So it's that between him and I, really him, but me helping support that vision really made the biggest difference. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I've had the good fortune to interact with a number of folks within your organization over the past few years and see people at conferences and everything else. And one of the kind of consistent themes that I hear is the appreciation for the investment in your people. And I know that one of the things I think is really awesome, you send leadership to the Bell Institute, and everybody goes through the same program. Can you share a bit about when you started doing that, how that kind of came to the forefront, and what type of results you've seen as a result?
Yeah, well, Infonet was the first with Don Clay, how to deal with dentists and how to help lead. So we were already going through that program, but by 2000, I think in about 2000, 1999 to 2000, Dr. Workman was in YPO and he got introduced to Dr. Bell. And what that is it's literally 360 feedback where we all were able to give him feedback. And it was brutal. He'll tell you about it. It was brutal. But he literally sat in front of us and read every comment about what we said about his leadership. Because what happens in leadership is we judge ourselves on our intentions and others judge us on our actions. And he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings or because he's more of a driver, hard driver, really get things done. He doesn't want to hurt things, but he also has to be honest. And so sometimes that honesty goes too far. And so he said, Pat, I think we should all do this. I'm like, can I just run with it? And he just let me run with it. And so that consistency of having that, what it did was it allowed us all to become better humans because every human has 6 basic elements of what we all want: success, self-worth, be productive, have safety and security, have love in our life, and have freedom and not be told what to do all the time. Those things are all there. Well, sometimes we have strengths in that. Sometimes we take those strengths too far. And when they become too far, we become extreme. And when we become extreme, bad things happen. And so how do you become a better human to be an achiever, which is good in all 6 areas, and be balanced? So then you say, well, what's the results been? I don't know. I can't tell you what the difference made because we've been doing it since 2000. What I know it is we keep on getting better over the years. And because we haven't had change in leadership at the top, we don't keep on going to the newest shiny thing. So people come into the company and go, I think I have a better one. Like you might. Honestly, I mean, I'm not going to argue that your system might be better, but this is the system that's consistent for us. So I'm not saying we're perfect. I'm not saying this is the best way, but I know it works for us because I can see that if we didn't do those things, we have top 10 business goals with those people. That's too many. Well, I'm going to work on 10 things anyway. So then you start thinking about how do we institute that with our whole organization. And we have just gotten better at that over the years. We never said, hey, we're going to have 1,900 offices by October of 2025. But we knew if we could help this office, help that office, and really do it well and together, which is work hard, smart, and together, do it. Well, then we can conquer anything, whether it's bad environment, bad economy, because we have to study that. All those things we can overcome if we become better leaders, because great leaders build great companies. Well, that means mediocre leaders build mediocre companies, bad leaders build bad companies. And so how do we become great leaders? How do we build ourselves? And we just spent a lot of time doing that. So
What do you attribute the longevity to? Because I agree. Like our CEO has been in seat for 11 years now. I've been in the company 7 years. I tell people all the time, you see people jump around so often, and I'm still learning so many new things every single day, every week, every year. And when people move and you only have those like limited frames, I feel like you can never really make such an impact on the company as somebody that's been there for the long term, but you see it all the time. And so if you were giving advice to somebody to be able to have longevity like you have, what would that be?
well, first of all, success matters. So getting good results. And so if you think about it, a lot of people put together DSOs and they start thinking about it from a financial perspective instead of what do we really do? Well, we support doctors. We help doctors become successful. So if we can truly, because when I started in dental, it was a group of 3 practices. So I've done every job except for dentist and hygienist because I don't have a license. But I've done every job. I played a dentist on TV one time. But anyway, I've done every job. So I know how a dental practice works. I know I've been, if you will, consulting with a dental practice. I know what they think of. And sometimes and that just happened to me the other day, people go, well, this is going to be unpopular, but if we just do it for them centrally, then they can do this. And I said, see, that's somebody who doesn't understand what a BA, a business person at the front desk, talking to a patient, not knowing how the billing works, because they can take care of it over here. They just look terrible. They look confused. The patient's mad, and it doesn't help. And all they do is, I blame these people. So we were consistent. We're not going to centralize those things. We're not going to centralize things that get in between the doctor and their patient. That is their relationship. That's not my relationship. That's not our support office's relationship. That's that. And so being consistent with those beliefs that we're here to support doctors. I don't make any more money until a doctor makes more money. I don't do well until a doctor does well. And so if you lose that focus, you say, "Well, I don't care about the doctor. It's really I just can change anyone." Well, then you're not you really don't understand how a dental practice works. You don't understand how important the doctor is. You don't, they're not very good leaders, but they are the leader. If they don't go to huddle, nobody will. So it's that consistency of the beliefs and our values and our mission. Because when I became CEO in 2015, I didn't change our mission. I changed our core values, I updated the values, but make sure that we're consistent. But it was there already. Our vision and mission has been consistent, and that fortunately, unfortunately for some others, is that goes through everything. So when we make decisions, but if I have a lot of turnover and people don't understand it, especially at the C-suite level, it's tough. But that's where the tough decisions have to be made. And that's where I have to say, you know what? This person can't be on my team anymore because they can't build and leverage themselves to build the organization, to be able to build people to continue to grow. That's where it becomes difficult. But if you're 20 practices, 30 practices, dude, I'm just telling you, you can do it if you're consistent with what your vision and mission is. What are you really doing? What do you do? Well, we help doctors. That's what we do. I don't own a lab. I help doctors. And so it's more of that consistency, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time in the growth of Heartland where you felt like the mission to help doctors wavered? Maybe there was some type of kind of tension between an approach to growth or something else that would have not aligned with what you were looking to achieve that you had to kind of evaluate?
No, there's been times where people suggested things that we should change. Like, if people think PE firms are bad, they don't know, and so they'll suggest things. So it's up to you to say, "Well, that all sounds good in theory. That won't work." There's people that sit at this is a true story, not in our company, but they looked at the spreadsheet and said, "Well, the hygienists you probably need to get rid of them because I mean they're just a cost." Well, they just don't understand how it works, but it's expensive. but, but they don't know. Well, they give the doctor about $400,000 or $500,000 a year of operative. They produce 20,000 a month. Okay, that 20,000 a month doesn't seem like that much, but without them, you got nothing. And so, in a general dentistry practice anyway, and so there have been times where people have suggested things that would hurt that, but because I have worked with dentists, I've done really the same thing. I just got bigger. Same thing for 38 years. Dr. Workman's been a dentist for 40 some years. And so he knows how dentists think. I know how dentists, for the most part, think. And so I can help them. Still have to listen to them. We had a big debate on, well, what about the millennials? And then you got the Gen Z. And like, you know what? Honestly, if you listen to people, no matter what generation, if you just listen to them and actually say, how can I help you? But that means they have to write down their goals. Well, I don't want to write down. Well, then how can I help you? Whether you're a Gen Z, whether you're a millennial, whether you're an old person like me and a what do you call baby boomer, you just got to listen. And if you listen well, and that's the hard part, listening and understanding what they want and delivering what they want as time changes, well then, but if you don't listen well and you think, I know the answers and I'm not going to listen to them, I just tell them what to do, well, it's not going to work. It just doesn't work.
How do you disperse culture across such a large organization? And maybe another way of thinking about it is what would you expect a doctor that you've affiliated with maybe 6 months post affiliation to say about their experience with Heartland, and take it
That's a
either of those ways?
that's a good way. First of all, what I would expect is they're treated with respect and dignity. One, that they're in charge of all the clinical decisions, any kind of they're the ones that are doing and making sure the dentistry happens the way they believe it should happen. So we do what we call, well, We make them tell us, what do you want to do clinically? I can tell you whether you deliver that or not. But you tell me what you want, because there's in dentistry, it's interesting. There's no real standards that they say, well, here's how it works. If you're doing open heart surgery, here's how the best way. They don't do that, and so we have to ask the dentist what they want. So I would hope they would say, you know what, first year is always the hardest because nothing changes clinically, but everything changes. So every question they have, they go, God, what do I do now? Oh God, what do I do now? Even though nothing changes, their mind is different because I used to make all the decisions every day. Like, no, I didn't even think about it. I just made decisions. And now you come in here and like, oh God, what do I do now? Well, when I had a guy, his equipment went down. He goes, I would have just fixed it before. And it's old equipment that we were with Patterson today, that Patterson can't even fix. He goes, well, God, Patterson can't even fix it. I'm like, well, what did you do before? I would have just fixed it myself. Well, then just fix it yourself. I mean, so but it's hard because everything changes, even though nothing changes. And so I tell people, I can't take away a doctor's leadership. So what I tell them, okay, I can take away some management. I can take away some of the headaches. You don't have to worry about making sure that all the equipment works. We'll get somebody in there. I had a lady one time say, you know, I woke up. I was 4th of July weekend. I'm at my new cabin that I could now afford up north or wherever she was. And there was a water leak from the medical office above her building and flooded her. And they called her and she said, just call Heartland. Hang up, went back to bed. Monday, she's ready to work. That's what's supported. Now, is it perfect? Are we perfect? No, but I would expect every doctor to say, you know what, they're listening to me. It's different because its first year is always the hardest. Second year, if you would ask them in 18 months and what compared to 6 months, it's a lot different because now they know the expectations. They know the biggest changes to the people at the front desk. That's who has to deal with things because we have to change the computer system. Oh God, that's hell. So there's change, but nothing with how they treat patients. Nothing with they get better equipment, they get better supplies at a lower cost, they get whatever they want, they get scanners, they get AI, they get of course everybody's digital now, but back then it was, even digital. And so, but I would hope so. Culture. How do you get it down? Well, we have values. It's just a piece of paper. So when the rubber meets the road, when we have a rule, if you're not nice, you can't work here. Well, how do you measure it? How do you measure that? Well, if somebody's mean, even to my assistant, they can't work with us. I had a guy call, Pat, he's just rude. Well, get him on the phone. We will never do business with you. Well, I don't care. You don't have to be mean to our people. There's nobody, but if I would let that happen, then I have no credibility. If I'm a jerk to people and I say, but you have to be nice to work here, it wouldn't happen. That doesn't mean I'm perfect. That doesn't mean that I don't get upset or, I can promise you I'm working on it all the time. But it's that. And I said to my team, we just got done with annual planning for 26. We start with all the managers and the directors and we go to the VPs and then my team finishes because we're listening the whole time. And we ask, what's going to stand in our way to be able to hit our goals in 26? The only thing the biggest thing that stands in our way is if we don't work hard, smart, and together. If we don't work together, if we don't make sure that we're collaborating, and because everything affects everybody, we think that this is just a little thing. It's not going to affect anybody. No, it does. And so it's how do you make sure that everybody knows everything we do affects each other. So how are we going to work with each other? How are we going to work together on things? Are we perfect? No, but it's when the rubber meets the road. When COVID happened, if I say my doctors are really important and I lay them all off, I don't really believe in my values. I think I'm looking at money instead of what my value. You know what my private equity firm, KKR, said when COVID hit? They said, Pat, it's a people business, so just take care of the people. That's the only advice they gave me. I was scared shitless and, we all were. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear, but everybody was. We didn't know what to do. And so all I could do is go to our values because that's all I can do. No, I was well capitalized. Thank God. So I had good success. Thank God. So I didn't have to do anything unnatural. It was unnatural. Everything was unnatural at the time. But I knew I had to take care of my doctors. So I didn't lay off one doctor. I didn't furlough one doctor. They all got their base salaries because it's going to cost me because we didn't have any revenue for 2 months. So 8%, I think. Um, and so, but if I would have said, get rid of them all, we'll figure it out, I would have no credibility coming out of it. And so it's that consistency, again, going back to it, that we really acting the way. I mean, when somebody's a big producer and they're a jerk and you let them stay, people know. People know. You can say, well, yeah, but they're a big producer. So it's about the money or it's about how we treat each other. Because if it's about how we treat each other, we'll eventually make money as long as we're using the right systems and following, taking care of people the right way. But those are all systems too. But if they're jerks and we let them stay, then I have no credibility. And that's when the rubber meets the road. And those are tough decisions. Like, God, losing a $2 million provider. Oh, what am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to replace them well. I mean, it crosses your mind. Am I going to do it? Am I going to make the decision? And people are looking at me like, he's an asshole. Excuse me. He's an asshole. You're going to keep him? No, we got to let him go. And that's hard. And there's been a couple times where, Pat, we're going to let him go. I'm like, oh God, you're making me nervous, but okay, that's what we have to do. And then they did better. The
Yep.
person who came
Yep.
in did better. I'm like, see, thank
That's
God
right.
I let you go.
That's right. No, I love that. You were wording it so kindly, and I was gonna share that one of our revenue team principles is that negative and toxic behavior are never worth the revenue that they generate, and we call it the no asshole rule. You
It's
said you have to be nice to work here. I was like, that's a very nice way of putting it, but we got there for
Well, the
sure.
problem with saying you're not nice, you can't be nice to work here. Sometimes people don't then tell you bad news. They don't want to say be negative, and they know I don't want to tell them they're wrong because then that's not nice. No, no, no. Nice means telling me being honest. If you're not honest, that's mean. And so some people who are pleasers, we call them pleasers, who love people and don't want anybody to not like them. We say, look, you're being mean by not telling me the truth. If you're saying I don't agree, but I don't tell you, that's mean. That's not nice. And so I have to remind people being nice means being honest, giving honest feedback nicely. That's different because you can be a jerk and give back feedback, or you can be nice and give tough feedback. And I didn't expect it to be nice, give tough feedback. Say, I just disagree. What happened was unacceptable, and I'm not going to take it. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean that you're not a good person. I just don't like your behavior. And so you can't work here because of your behavior. I mean, it's okay, but it's hard for some people who haven't worked on their leadership or aren't as old as I am and mature and wiser than I was when I was 30. It's hard for them to do that. And so we have to constantly teach them it's okay. Making mistakes is part of the process. It's not about the person. It's about the behavior. Because everybody like, well, they don't like me. They're mean. Oh my God. No, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with your behavior. And that's hard. It's hard for some people to sense that.
So in that model that Dr. Bell has, it's called the achiever model. I think he's got these personality patterns that you try to minimize, and you just mentioned people pleasing and perfectionism's another one. I'm not sure the whole list, but what do you find the most difficult out of that series of behaviors to coach or to get people to minimize?
People who don't tell me the truth. In other words, people who, I've coached this one guy now for 3 or 4 years. They wanted to fire him. And he's from Brazil. And I mean, to the point where our first conversations was, I have to say thank you. Okay. So that's how basic we were.
It's pretty foundational.
In his life and his parents and how he was raised, I expect you to do your job. Why would I say thank you for doing your job? I'm like, you want me to thank you for doing your job? Oh, I guess so. Yeah, I guess I will. Okay. Everybody just wants to be treated that way. So, but at least I know what he's thinking. The people who are pleasers are going to not tell me the truth and just agree. And those are harder to find, harder to fix because I'm only as good as the truth that I get. If I don't get the truth because I'm a jerk, then it's on me. But if I don't get the truth because you don't tell me honestly I've had lots of drag outs with doctors who are jerks, and I'm telling them we're not going to do that. But at least I know. And some people who are so nice, they don't tell you that they're going around gossiping and complaining. They don't tell you that they're really causing a lot of problems, by not being honest because they tell everybody what they want to hear. And those are really hard, even though they're loving people and they're wonderful. And you look at them like, well, that's the nicest person in the world. Yeah, but they're going around telling everybody how they're poor victim, and they're not telling me why they feel like a poor victim. Where the people who are too honest I can find them right away. I can work with them and say, "Hey, that's not acceptable behavior. Let's work on that. Let's talk." The other ones, it's just harder. It doesn't mean that they're not better. Nobody's better than each other. Anyone. I'm not better than anybody. Nobody's better than anybody. Everybody has different levels of jobs and so forth. Nobody's better. But in my job, people are automatically afraid of me just because I'm the CEO, not because I'm Pat Bauer. It's just because I'm the CEO. So like, oh, geez, I got to meet with the CEO. And I do that with KKR. I got to meet Henry Kravis. I'm like, geez, I get to meet Henry Kravis. He's just a guy. 81 years old. He's a wonderful person, but everybody's just like, ooh, I gotta, yeah. And so you get a little bit more nervous based on roles. But in the end, he's a person. I'm a person. We're all people. But boy, those people who don't tell you the truth, those are hard.
Yeah, the trappings of the title for sure. So, you mentioned earlier about getting new scanners or AI or new technology, and I'm curious uh, with the focus on clinical autonomy and with having the conversation with doctors, like you tell me what kind of dentistry you want to be doing. When you enable them with, I know you rolled out AI across all of your practices, with a new technology like AI or Curidon or something else that maybe people aren't comfortable with. How do you go about that effectively? Do you allow people to say, "Listen, I'm not going to adopt this," or "I'm not interested"? And how do you handle those sorts of conversations?
Well, first of all, to baseline, almost every dentist that I've ever met always wants to be better. They want to be a good dentist. And so you could have conversations say, well, tell me what you don't like. What we do use Curidon. Okay, so Curidon is a new product that basically arrests, if not gets rid of, very small lesions that you're not going to do anything with, but now you can use this and it gets rid of. Now, I didn't come up with it. I don't have. It's not me. I'm not a dentist. But even when I told Dr. Workman, he goes, Matt, that's not possible. I'm like, I don't have the research, but they have research. And what I find is dentists are plenty smart and they're scientists. They're most of them understand science. They're smart people. They went to school. They became dentists, for God's sake. They're not dummies. And so if you give them facts and you give them understanding, I have a guy right now, he's a super operator, doesn't use AI. He doesn't use it. So I asked him, no, he has 27% margins. He's very productive. I'm not here to beat anybody up. I'm just here to understand. And so I'm trying to understand why you don't use it. And you know what he said? Well, I had a problem one time with the enamel, but, and then I thought something was there. But really, when I grew up, my dad didn't use any kind of tool to help communicate with patients. He used his voice and his body and his tone to talk. I think people can use that as a crutch. Okay, I'm not going to tell. Well, by God, you're wrong. You have to do it. But I can continue the debate. And so for the most people, most go, oh my God, how do I do it? So we have one a lady who's an amazing operator. Her husband's a nuclear physicist or some guy, I mean, super smart guy, works on nuclear equipment. And she came home and she's honest, and she's amazing, and she's so productive and amazing woman. And she said to him, "Man, I don't know about this AI. I don't think that." This is them telling me the story. "I don't know if it really is that good." And he said, "Excuse me, what did you say?" "Well, I'm pretty good. I can do it." And he said, "You know what, honey? I know you're good. But I know you have bad days." She has 2 kids. She got seven. I know you have bad days. Guess what? I never have a bad day. So I don't have to push everything. I have to say, here's a tool that our dentists tested. I don't make the decision of which AI we used. The dentist said, even the scanner, I didn't decide on iTero. They decided iTero and 3Shape are just equivalent, just as good. So then I went and negotiated. So then I have a great team who negotiates and said, look, I got a better deal with iTero and it does Invisalign. Boom, got a winner. But both of them were clinically sound. Both doctors decided on. I had nothing to do with it. We just negotiated the better rate for our doctors to get the best tool at the best price. And so when you start thinking, why do we pick things? Then change management is hard. So then we have to go through the process. We have a team that goes out and walks them through it. We have a team that spends time. Why don't you like it? What does it? I sat and went to an office and said, now our AI does the morning huddle and does the chart preps. Well, hygienists like to do their chart preps. And she's holding her chart preps like this. And I go, well, how come you're doing it? Because the AI does it. And she goes, well, I like doing it. And so as we're talking about it, I was with Deanne, who's the best chief operating officer in the world. She's watching her as they're going through it, and she's checking the computer to see if it says what she said. She never did another chart prep in her life because now that's more and it's accurate. And so she doesn't have to worry. So it's a series of very hard, very, very hard. We still don't have full AI integration. I mean, not integration, but engagement. So we have to use different. Then I start using different tools. Okay, well, let's just tell them, hey, here's what it says you're missing. So if you know about AI, here's what I know I send to the insurance companies. Here's what I know we treat and plan and don't do. Insurance companies think we do a lot. I know what we don't even send in. Our case acceptance is not very high on crowns, as an example. And then now I know what we miss. We don't even say we see. So now I can go to a doctor and say, okay, here's what your treatment plan. Here's what AI says. So now I can give them, it's not me, it's called insights. Hey, this is what it's saying. What do you think? Let me look at that. So now I'm having them think, not me tell them. I'm not a dentist. And we have a rule. If you ever tell a dentist what to do clinically, you can't work here. So don't tell a dentist what to do, especially clinically, because you will be fired. I mean, it's just an automatic rule. You can't, there's no, that's a hard line because dentists decide what dentists do, not Pat. Now you can ask questions. Hey, does that look like filling to you? That looks like a decay. Oh God, yeah, it is. Thanks for telling. That is, I missed it. So it's okay. That's why hygienists are so good because they're professionals and they can help. So it's a lot of words to say. It's a process, but when it's clinical, why do we do more Invisalign? It's not because we're the largest Invisalign provider in the world. It's not because people want straight teeth. It's because of function. And once we flipped, and this is a long time ago now, when we heard Mark Hodge speak, and he turned it from having straight teeth to look well to function, now it quintupled. We went from 1,000 to 5,000 cases like that because it was about doctors understand function. They understand that dentistry is going to last a lifetime. If I have my teeth, I remember when I got my implant, he goes, Pat, do you want me to put it where God wants me to put it? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, then you got to go through Invisalign. Okay. I'll go through Invisalign because now my teeth are where they should be. It's not going to pound down on the back of my mouth and ruin it. It's actual clinical function. Doctors understand clinical function. I don't necessarily, but they will, and they're smart. And if we give them that grace that they're smart, we can ask questions. We will hold you accountable to what you believe. So if you say, I had a doctor one time, God, Pat, you guys always want me to do more endo, more crowns. I'm like, dude, it has nothing to do with Heartland. You're the one that diagnosed it. I didn't. Since you diagnosed it, I assume you want to get it done. So how can I help you get patients to say yes to what you believe they desire, deserve, and need? And guess what? The money will come. It's a byproduct of doing everything well within the operations and how the patient satisfaction comes out. Our product is not dentistry. Our product is a patient who's satisfied beyond their expectations and returns and refers. So if we can keep them doing that, so what is it? I can ask them questions. You expect everybody to get this. Well, here's what you're doing. Here's your perio numbers. I didn't. It's not my patients. They're your patients. What do you think of that? What do you think that number should be? How do you think about that? I'm like, huh. And they start thinking. If I asked a person, you guys, do me a favor. Ask a bunch of dentists, what's their case acceptance on crowns? What do you think their average case acceptance they would tell you they have? Do you know?
I don't know.
Most people tell me 80%.
Oh, I was going to guess way lower than that.
Well, ours is 27, so you're probably more realistic.
Okay. I was going to say 30, but
27% of ours. But most dentists don't know.
Yeah.
And because they don't know, it's not because everybody wants it to be 80%. I get it. but what is your real number? And once you measure it, now you can get better. Now you can manage the process. Now you can start saying, so it's Elliot Zeibel, and he loves it. Elliot Zeibel uses our system. I just didn't know he was creating it. We already do it. So Elliot has tools that can help DSOs that literally say, well, here's your clinical belief and here's what you're doing. I didn't make that decision. You did. So I don't have to beat any dentist up. I don't have to say, you have to do more crowns. You need to do one more procedure. That's one way to quickly piss off a doctor. If you tell them to do more and do, well, it's just a loser. I mean, flunker, 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 flunker. Now, if you talk to them about, hey, you're an adult, I'm an adult. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what you say you believe. What do you think of these results? Are you happy with those results? Well, no. Well, then how can I help you? Because if you say this, whatever the procedure, I want to do implants on every time I have a broken down tooth that the endo didn't work, I want to put an implant in. Okay, well, you're not. So now what? How can I help you? Whatever your clinical rule is, x-rays. X-rays is a good one. What do you believe in x-rays? Because ADA has certain guidelines, but what do you believe? Well, I can tell you if you actually do it. It's simple ones. I need an exam on comprehensive. So I can help them if they tell me. I can't help them if they don't.
So that's the asking the questions, then moving into active listening and
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
hearing what they have to say.
We say we take a consultative approach. There are some people who say, Pat, I don't want to get better. I don't care. We're just not a match. It's okay. Because it's okay. I mean, I had a guy one time throw a kid a Snickers and say, you're not going to take care of your teeth anyway, so I'm going to just have a Snicker. He didn't make it. It's not because of me. It's because of him. He doesn't care. He didn't care anymore, and whatever is going on in his brain didn't work, and we weren't a match. So we're not 100% perfect, and not all of our doctors. But I would put our doctors, their thought processes, and how they try to become better against anyone, because all they're trying to do is be the best dentist with the communities they serve. And if I can help them, I win, they win, the community wins. It's a win-win-win all the way around. And yeah, do we make money because of that? Yeah, but so does the doctor, and so does the team, and so does the communities. And so, because it's everybody wins. If we really try to help the doctor be the best they can be for the communities they serve, and if our mission has been so consistent for so many years, I've been saying that so loudly for so many years, people don't get confused about, well, what's the next guy going to say? And that's the scariest part, is when a DSO goes to a private equity, as an example. Now they get a new CEO because the results weren't there. And now everybody starts over. And that is super hard unless you get a really good leader. And it's not easy. So
Throughout our conversation, you've mentioned consistency and routine. And I've heard some things about you having your own personal kind of like daily routine that you go through. And so just be curious if you'd be willing to kind of share what that looks like for you and the importance of that in success.
well, I get up early. So today I get up 5:15. The last 2 days, Rick wanted to start at 7:30 for breakfast, so I had to get up at 4:45. It's a little harder. So 5:15, I get up and I work out for an hour. So I do weights or some kind of exercise, but I got it from a guy. Used to do P90X. Now I'm doing it better me, but I do an hour of exercise, and a lot of that is cardio, but a lot of it's weight. It could be my own weight, could be weights, but it's something just to keep myself strong and healthy. So the thing is, I have to be healthy. Then I do an hour of homework and prayer. So I'm Catholic, and so I'll read the breviary and the daily mass. But I also do homework, which is leadership homework, and I literally write down what a good leader does, what a bad leader does, and that I'm not going to do. And then on my strengths and weaknesses, how did I do? How did I do yesterday? And I just rate myself, and I write those down. I will discover what needs people are trying to satisfy, what fears they're trying to avoid, what beliefs they're trying to carry out, and what they don't know. And so I'm trying to figure that out for people that I meet so that I can help them. And how did I do yesterday? Did I really think that through? And so I'm just trying to figure out how do I become better every day? And then I take a shower, get to work. So it's consistent. My wife knows it, and I do it 6 days a week. I do take one day off on the exercise. So I give my body one day where I only do that. I just do my homowork and my prayers, but but I give myself I'm 63, so my body. I just went to the orthopedic guy because I have a torn meniscus in my left knee. So, but I can still exercise. I can still walk if I can't walk right now, but I can walk and I can still do weight exercise. And so I can give that as an excuse not to do something, or I could say, you know what, I won't feel as good if I don't do my exercises. And there's a deal. Remember the commitment skills I was talking about? If I can't focus at work because I'm unhealthy, I'm useless. If I don't get enough sleep, I'm useless. And so if my body is really so that I can be the best CEO that I can be in my job, but it's the same thing for anybody in our company. If they do their homework, I know who's doing their homework and who's not because I see them getting better. And sometimes it's hard for yourself to see yourself, am I really doing better? Because how do you get better as a leader? That was the hardest thing for me. How do you get better? You can go to seminars, but how do you really get better? That homework helps me get better at my leadership. Because honestly, if you think about our company now, we just hit over 1,900 offices. And so if I don't grow my leadership at the same growth as our company, they'll replace me. I know that. So, and anybody, if you don't grow, I've had some people and regional directors, they didn't grow their leadership as they grew their responsibilities. And that's when things fall apart. And so I have a responsibility to be able to make sure that I'm better. So it's something that it sounds special, but it's honestly, have you ever read anything from Ryan Holiday?
Yeah, absolutely. Obstacles away and all the
Discipline is destiny.
Yep.
Discipline. It's like, I love to eat and drink, I like to drink, but I have to have discipline. And so if I eat or drink too much, it's a problem. And so I have to make sure I know what I'm eating, when I'm eating, how much I'm eating, and be disciplined about that. Oh, am I perfect? By God, not even close. So I can assure you. You can dump in with friends. They'll tell you that.
But you got a system though. You have a system that you follow.
I think that's the key is what is
Yeah.
your system? Whatever it is, that system is mine. It's not perfect for everybody, but whatever it is for you. I mean, I'm all, the guy based in prison, one of my favorite people. He has one. He just says, Pat, where are you at? That's his first thing. But he's trying to get discipline to say, I'm thinking about my leadership. I'm thinking about how I can be better. Because how do you practice it? It's really hard. And, you can grade yourself and people, and getting feedback. I mean, so my team will sit around and go, Pat, you take away when you do things like this and you give more when you do this. Okay. So we're honest with each other about that feedback loop is so important and people forget. If you don't get feedback, you think you're okay and you're not. And that's the problem.
Yeah, well, that daily reflection allows it to remain top of mind for you at all times versus like, oh, wait, I'm remembering now I have to be better. It's like,
That's right.
It's perpetual improvement.
Yes, it is. And that's that consistency, that discipline. He's just came out with a new one. I have a book club with my son, and two of my nieces and my wife. We have a book club. They're in their 30s, so it's a lot of fun for me. But he just came out with a new one, which is
Biographies of the Stoics.
Let me just. I was just looking it up yesterday. I don't know if I can find it.
I just picked one up last week, and it's he's got like 25 different Stoics and is doing brief vignettes, like biographies.
Oh, is he?
One. Yeah, I don't know if that's the newest one or not, but
Wisdom Takes Work.
Okay, no, I haven't seen that one.
It just came out. In fact, I can't.
Okay.
All right, now, wisdom takes work. Well, that's true. I can't wait to read it.
That's a great statement.
You get wisdom, it takes a lot of work. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to read it.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, Pat, thank you so much for joining. Really, really enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it.
The Dental Economist Show is brought to you by Planet DDS. To find out more about how cloud-based dental software by Planet DDS helps unleash dentists and their staff to focus on patient care, visit www.planetdds.com. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes by following wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.